Hello, everyone. Welcome to ArchTalks, the podcast where we explore ideas and projects that merge design, innovation, and social impacts. Thank you all for joining us. So, today we'll be discussing highly relevant topics: the impact of technology in our lives, where the importance of moments of disconnection, and how can we contribute to this balance. Our starting point will be the mobile phone stands developed by Plaey using Valchromat, an object that symbolizes the idea of disconnecting from technology to reconnect with what truly matters.
Hello, everybody. I'm Vanessa Seixas, and for this conversation, we have two special guests: Stuart Devoil, Marketing Director at James Latham, distributor of Valchromat in UK. Thank you for your presence. And Matt Kelly, founder of Plaey, a design company that creates innovative modular furniture. So let's dive into the role of design and sustainability in developing solutions to modern societal challenges.
Stuart, good morning. Has
Morning, how are
the
you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good.
As the distributor of Valchromat in the United Kingdom, James Latham has seen an incredible innovative projects using this material. Can you share how the market has responded to Valchromat and how the collaboration with Plaey came out?
Yeah, sure. To be honest, I mean, Valchromat is quite an easy sell for us. It's one of our most requested samples. So we're somewhere in around region of 3,000 product SKUs sitting on our shelves, and Valchromat is always in the top one or two every month of the most requested samples. Um, it's very unique in the UK, and because of that, it just gives so many options to people. I think that's the key, and it's everything through the A&D community through to KBB exhibitions, kind of everything in between. It's just really popular. Every day we hear about yet another application for it. It's very exciting, and certainly I think the addition of White Pearl will open up even more opportunities for us. We've certainly seen this. Yeah, I think exciting times ahead for sure.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Stuart. And
Great, thank
can you tell us a little bit about the partnership between Plaey and everything that has came through?
Yeah, sure. I think we're really lucky to be working with Matt and his business. We kind of stumbled upon Plaey almost by accident. So we saw the stuff that Matt was doing on Instagram, involving Valchromat and a few of the other products we distribute. And I think we were just quite struck with what he did. He's got, as the company name would suggest, he's got quite a playful approach to things. And we were already working with a number of furniture ambassadors in a more formal or traditional way. But Matt's approach, he kind of the designs are quite almost sparse and pared back, but they're still playful. And it's almost like he took minimalism and ran it through the rainbow. You know, you could just see that there were so many different colours involved, and it just excited us. So we reached out really just to try and understand a bit more about the business, about his ethos, about the plans for the future. And I just think, and Matt, I think you'll agree, it just meshed. What Latham's are as a business and what your business is growing into just really worked. And I say, I think because Matt has that background in museums and galleries, it's a different type of furniture to we're used to working with. And I mean, Matt's come up with some fantastic ideas in gallery plinths and stuff since then. It's very different applications for us, and it suited the product really well. So yeah, we as soon as we spoke to Matt, we said, look, do you want to do some kind of partnership, become an ambassador? And thankfully for us, the rest is history. He's just got that vision that we didn't have in the people we were talking to. A great example, in this year's Surface Design Show, we had a reasonably small stand. It was 4.5 meters by 4.5 meters. We didn't really know what to do with it, and we'd been speaking with our creative people, and I suggested that we brought Matt on board and he told us this great story about when people visit his workshop. Quite often he'll have built this fantastic piece of furniture, but people walk straight past it to go and look at all the samples on his rack because they're interested. People like to play with Plaey. See what I did there? And he just said, well, why don't we recreate my workshop? And that was what we did. He made all the racks out of white pearl. He made a workbench out of white pearl. And our stand just looked so different to everybody else's. We'd done some research that told us about people at trade shows. People don't like to be overtly sold to. They like to be engaged. They like to be involved. And we felt that the workshop concept would work, and it really did. And people told us that. People told us they felt comfortable coming on the stand. And if it wasn't for kind of Matt's creative vision, we probably would never have thought of that. So it's not just from an ambassador role that Matt's helped us, but also, just to change the way we think has been great. And I certainly see that it will continue for a long time. I think it's really, really good.
Thank you, Stuart.
Great. Now you, Matt. Let's talk a little bit more about Plaey. Can you share the company's missions and the inspiration behind the design of your pieces, please?
Yeah. Thanks for that, Stu, as well. That was lovely to hear. Plaey started. Plaey started really when I kind of discovered Valchromat in an odd way, really. So I was working at the Hepworth Wakefield, which is a big museum designed by David Chipfield, and they use Valchromat. So that was the first time I saw Valchromat. And I'm sure we'll get into this later on, but I just saw it as a unique material. One of the David Chipfield, a very, very big firm. I think that this was 2011, so I think that's around the time when James Latham started stocking it, maybe. And if you go to the Hepworth, they've kind of clad the whole floor, reception area, cafe with this black Valchromat, and then used to build like benches for the galleries and reception units. And I just saw this. I remember one of the architects saying to me, this material is an architect's dream because it's coloured all the way through. Like Stu was just saying, there's lots of applications for it. So I just saw this unique, they're a very serious architect firm. So they were using the black and the dark grey throughout. And then my story with James Latham starts back then, really, 2011, where I started doing technical tours for the building because I was the gallery manager. So architects would come round and show, potential clients or other architects. I'd tell them what they did with the floor or the lighting system or the walls, and everyone was really interested in the Valchromat because it had an AC lacquer on it, so it and it goes all the way up the staircase. It's beautiful, and a lot of people stroking it, thinking it. Some people say it's slate, or some people would say it's, I don't know, all sorts of things. It's a product called Valchromat, and again, it was quite a mystical product. No one, I wasn't really a furniture maker at that time. I was an exhibition designer, but it was a very new material. And then one of the James Latham reps came out and gave me some samples because there was a flagship store for them. I was getting these samples, and unknown to me at this point, it came in beautiful colours, and that something just flipped in my head then, and I started using the A4 samples, or kind of buying sheets of the 8mm and playing around with the combination of Valchromat and this beautiful colour range and plywood. I've got a soft spot for plywood. I'll always love plywood, and that's just a core material that we use. And yeah, it's just slowly developed from there, really, quite organically. I was still building this thing up. It was a side project really. Doing it on the side, really. And then slowly started building it up, and then and it's funny to think about, but I pretty much used Valchromat, I think, for every project bar one, maybe, since, so it's just this ongoing relationship with this material. And then so Plaey officially started about 7 years ago, and I had a rebrand and worked with an amazing company called Studio Build, who sat me down essentially and said, what do you do? What do you want this company to be? I spoke for a while, and then they basically came back with simple, playful, modular, and that was my kind of tagline. And I wanted to call it Plaey with the A and the E, the A and the E referencing kind of the Scandinavian design. Also with the A and the E, they kind of made a logo out of it, which is really strong for a brand. And so yeah, and I essentially, in a nutshell, I make playful, simple, modular furniture, and that's kind of my that's what I do with the materials. And I really restrict my materials. As Stu mentioned, I use Valchromat. Valchromat's my core. Plywood. I'm currently using Garnica plywood, and I use Hymax where if there's an application where it needs to be really hardware and surface. And that, that synergy of working with James Latham, and I think for me, and getting to know James Latham much more over the last year, they're a company who aren't just the standard timber yard you can get a couple of sheets of ply from there. They've been doing this huge research, and they understand the materials from sourcing the materials, working with the factories. And what I love about the Valchromat story really is the compliance that goes behind it all, and the how sustainable it is. So I had a really great chat with Stu when I was in London, and he was just saying that they wouldn't stock anything. So you've got confidence in the materials you'll use, and then selling onto a product. So yeah, in a nutshell, Plaey we make simple, playful, modular furniture, and that's kind of what we do.
Great,
okay.
Great.
Very good, Matt. Lovely. Thank you very much for sharing the history. It's very good to hear about it. Now going to another question. So the mobile phone stand is a perfect example of a functional design with social impacts. Can you explain the concept behind this product and how it reflects with Plaey's values?
Yeah. So the phone home is a really one of our first kind of proper product, I'd say. We've dabbled in products before, but never really kind of put this much work into it. And it was born a couple of years ago. There's a company called Hewitt Denim who are based in Cardigan in Wales, and they make arguably the best jeans you'll ever wear. They're run by David and Claire Hyatt, and David Hyatt is an amazing thinker, an amazing mind. And I heard him talk about their company, and he said they basically, when they employ the right people to do the job, skilled grandmasters who know how to make jeans. But basically, all he asks for them is when they come in the morning, they do what they call deep work, which basically means putting your mobile phone in a locker, and then you do 4 hours up until lunch, and then after lunch you can use your phone, because we all know that phones are important. People need to be connected, or and I just this idea of deep work really resonated with me, because there's lots of stats around workflow, and I'm fascinated in workflow. Running your own business, getting to the workshop, you've got to kind of and you've got a big mountain of plywood to cut or Valchromat to cut. You've got to. It's all about the workflow and how you work. And as we all know, every time you pick up your mobile phone, you get distracted, and you get an email, then you kind of jump on the socials and all that stuff. So this was swimming around my head, and then we had a child, so time shrunk again. So I was sleep deprived looking back, but I was getting into the workshop thinking, right, I've got 4 hours now before how am I, and I had loads of work, and I'm always busy. So it was really kind of a combination of these two thinkings, really. And then echo to that, when I was back at home with my son, looking after my son, I used to look after him on Wednesdays, but because I'm running a business, I'll be on my phone in front of him. So there's that kind of dilemma as well. You should be present. These kids grow up quick, and you need to be there. So there's lots of things around it. And then, funny enough, I was invited to Leeds Art University to do a workshop. And that was basically just wanting me to go in, talk about Plaey, and do a workshop with them. I think they had in their heads, everyone makes a stool, or something as obvious as that. But I kind of thought slightly differently, and I had loads of offcuts of Valchromat, because I've worked with it for so many years. I have lots of these cool shapes that sit around my workshop, neat and ordered, but I find them very inspiring, because there's so much potential in this material. And I just filled these crates of offcuts and took them to the university. And the task was to make a mobile phone holder. And so bearing in mind, these are third year graphic design students, oddly. So they're not practical people. It's not a furniture making course. And they're in the final year, they're 22. And the resounding in the room was just like, God, we hate our phones. You know, these people, 22-year-olds, are really addicted, you know, telling me like 10 hours, 12 hours screen time a day, you know, so it's really kind of mind blowing. So we set this task of just like making a phone home or holder. Some people use it as a productivity tool, so they had it, you know, mounted near their laptop so they could work better or could see the clock, or, you know, some people hid it away because it was too much distraction. We had some really wacky ideas, obviously, because it was a bit of fun as well. Like it was near Christmas time. We wanted it to be kind of a full, fun, playful workshop. There was sticking, because health and safety, we couldn't have any saws or drills, so it was like all glue guns. It was some amazing results, really. And then I went back, so that was playing into this thought. And then I was invited back this year as well, and I think we're gonna do it as a continuous thing now. And I just thought there's something in this, you know, because I'm talking to, you know, I'm a new dad. I'm speaking to teenagers or, you know, to early 20s. You know, I'm 43. I'm addicted to it. I hate them, but at the same time, I understand how powerful they are, because I wouldn't be sat here now. My company wouldn't be where it is without Instagram and all these things. So, and I just thought there's definitely a need for this. There is things out in the market which are known as phone jails, I think they're called, which are, you know, just a perspex box that you put your phone in, or like Vanessa said before the call, you know, schools are kind of encouraging children to put their phone in a bag or under a blanket when you go in. So especially in the UK, I don't know what it's like in Portugal, but there's definitely a movement at the moment where they're trying to basically up the age limit for teenagers to have access to a mobile phone, which I think is going to be really healthy. But anyway, all that said, all this stuff's swimming around my head, and I just started prototyping this phone home. And as always with Plaey, and kind of what Stu touched on, which I've written down. I'm going to take that. All these ideas go minimal. You know, I'm a minimalist at heart, but I've also got this spectrum of beautiful colours, the rainbow. So it's minimal, but it's also fun, and, you know, and I think that's our sweet spot, really. Functional, it has to be functional. There's no point in making something without a function, and has to be fun as well, or playful. So yeah, we kind of struck on this, and the phone home is a thing now, and where we're excited to launch it, and we think there's a need for it. And I've got a couple in the house, and we have them at work, and, you know, especially schools is a good thing. And speaking to a lot of people who run studios, actually design studios, who employ people, you know, and, you know, through, like I was saying at the start, that workflow of people on their phones, and they might be, you know, doing work related stuff, but they might not be. So it's how would you manage all this? And it's not, you know, we're not going to say this is going to cure it at all, but it's just kind of a step, really, to help to kind of retrain the brain a little bit, to say it's okay to be on your phone. It's not like we're not going to put it in a jail and lock it up for 8 hours or whatever that product does. It's more like, you know, it's in its home. When you go into your house, or you go into your place of work, or you go, like Hugh at Denham, go to put your phone in the locker for that 4 hours. It's just getting into that habit again. I think that a lot of people, if we were honest, we just really, because, I mean, the phone is obviously an amazing piece of design, and it sits in your pocket, it's on your purse, and it's shouting at you, it's grabbing your attention all the time. So we just, I think it's just that we hope that the phone home connects with people who are design-minded, you know, like to have nice things in their house, and we think we've come up with a little, considered piece of design that can kind of sit quietly in someone's house, or school or office, and just sit and just help them, even if it's saving an hour a day. You know, that hour you're reading a book, or that hour you're engaged with your friends or whatever. So that's the idea behind it, anyway.
Perfect. And we have already seen that you are a big fan of Valchromat. So explain more for us, why did you choose Valchromat for this project, and what characteristics of this material were essential to bring your concept of your project and for your life?
Yeah, so the Valchromat was a really obvious choice. It is coloured all the way through, obviously. The 19 mil has a really nice thickness to it, weight to it. It machines beautifully. You know, we've got a CNC now in the workshop, and it's like a dream. You know, so there's the kind of the practicalities of it, but more interestingly, I suppose, it's the colours really. The colours are, you know, we haven't spoken about the colours yet, but I think that's what the strength of the product is, that it's got these colours that are just, you can't really explain to people. You kind of say it's a yellow, you say it's a blue, and then when you see it, I mean, I have problems even when I photograph my work. You can't quite get that feeling. And then and that's exactly what Stu said earlier. When people come to the workshop, they're feeling that they're touching it. This very tactile material, and it's down to the natural plant dyes and the kind of the muted. I always describe it as kind of a muted color, but has a natural vibrancy that maybe people on subconscious level kind of understand, but maybe they, you know. So it's just it's not like a, you know, it's a painted hard surface. It's a deep natural color that just sits really nicely. And I think and then obviously, because the phone home is made of 3 elements, so again, just thinking there, if we've got 12 colors to play with, the color combinations is crazy. I should do the math on that really, but I'm making them in the workshop, and yeah, there's lots of combinations there. So yeah, it was really, and obviously then the sustainability angle from that point of view, and people love that story, and I think people are much more geared to that now, thinking about what they buy, and, you know, and the products that they and the sustainability angle, which is fantastic. So yeah, it was a really obvious choice. I have mocked it up in different plywood and different veneers, but there's something about the Valchromat that just makes the product really sing, especially when it's in situ. We've just had an amazing photographer called Jim Marsden do some photographs, and I'll send them over shortly. But they're really sum up the product nicely.
Great. We are very happy to listen to this.
Thank you so much, Matt. Stuart and Matt, how do you see the role of a design combined with sustainable materials in addressing the social challenges like the ones we have discussed today? How do you see this combination?
I'll jump in there. I'll take that one. I mean, our business. Matt said something earlier that I think is probably worth drawing out. So people know us as a timber business, but we're very much not just a great big shed that sells timber. You know, we were founded in 1757, so we've been going a long time, and we've got approaching 600 employees, and a percentage of those, their entire job is to work with the A&D community. All they do all day long is just sit with architects and designers and just talk about design, talk about inspiration, talk about appropriate materials, talk about sustainability, talk about all these different things. That they're entirely kind of immersed in that community. So when someone comes to them and asks them a question, that they feel like they're asked. Matt mentioned earlier about being comfortable, and you know, we're very credible. People see us as the good guys. You know, we're a very transparent business, and because we've been going so long, our people, they know a lot about the product. So if they're sitting with a designer, and if they're sitting with an architect, or they're sitting with anyone that wants to use any material, quite often it's, tell me what the application is, and I can kind of advise to you the best material to use. And going back to what I was saying at the start with regard to the kind of design flexibility of Valchromat, very often the answer is Valchromat regardless of what the application is, because it can just work that way. I think it's also interesting that because of the work they do, they have links with kind of designers and fabricators as well. So quite often they can sit with the ideator and say, yeah, okay, this is the product I'd recommend. But if you don't really know how to use it, I can also put you onto somebody who could manufacture that for you, or if you haven't quite got the design right, they can do that as well. So we've got this kind of holistic approach to we're not just like a warehouse just putting wood on a lorry and it goes out. We've got that whole kind of consultative part to us, and I think, as a distributor, that's very different. A lot of our competitors don't do that. A lot of our competitors haven't got the history we've got, or that credibility we've got, or that depth of knowledge, or the relationships. And I always think there's this line we quite often use. It's not just products we provide, it's peace of mind. And I think that's kind of, as a distributor, how we can contribute into this as well. We will sit side by side with designers or specifiers and help them through the process, and just give them that guidance from top to bottom. And when it, I think certainly in the last few years, a lot of the time people will ask about the sustainability credentials of a product before they even ask about the aesthetics of it, or the kind of the performance of it. It's okay, the first thing I need to know is how does this perform sustainably? And then once you cross that barrier, and if it's right, then we can talk about the rest. But if it doesn't fulfill that, tell me about another product. And again, that's why we're so lucky with working with Valchromat. I mean, again, Matt mentioned something earlier, and thanks again, Matt, about our compliance team are absolutely second to none. There are lists of things that which I won't bore people with, but we were the first people to sign up for the Timber Trade Federation's responsible procurement policy. We're the first people always to open our doors whenever a new piece of regulation or legislation is passed. We always go, yep, what do you want to know? Because we have nothing to hide. And I think that gives us the comfort, gives people comfort in dealing with us, and gives us that credibility to, it makes my job so easy, because we don't sell products that are dubious. We only sell high quality, highly certificated, compliant products. So I know that when my teams get together and we've got to market a product, we don't have to worry about trying to hide things. We've got that comfort and confidence. And I think that, going back to your question, João, is, we can offer so much more as a distributor from a product, from a sustainability, from a consultancy basis, than so many other people can. And I think that's a big thing. It sets us apart, I guess.
Thank you very much, Stuart.
Now you, Matt, can you talk more about this for us?
Yeah. So definitely, I mean, exactly, and that's why I love our partnership with James Latham, because you've got that confidence. The board comes into the workshop, you feel like all that work's being done, and all that thought, and all that, energy. So the board comes already with this, like peace of mind. You're looking at it and you're thinking, well, and then it's just, it's not even a thought, like Stu said. It's like it makes my job easy, because that's there. And then it's kind of, you can tell those stories to your clients, or your potential clients. And but then I think what kicks in then as a designer, once you've crossed those bridges, which are really, really important, always have been important, but like Stu said, like a big client, I'm doing a big learning studio at the moment in York, and pretty much the first question they said, they're like Stu just said, to reiterate that, really, they're not really bothered about an issue about the material. They just want to know the sustainable credentials of it, because so if someone walks into York Art Gallery and says, well, this is public money, funded money, or whatever, and why have you used this kind of material, it's kind of it's great that it's on people's radar so much. But then I think what kicks in then as a designer, once you've done all that research and you found your materials, which again, I do generally feel really grateful that I talk about it when I do a presentation about Plaey. I always talk about how it was quite lucky. It was my luck that that David Chipperfield, this world-renowned architect, found this Valchromat supplied by James Latham, built this, I think it was a £41 million gallery in Wakefield. I got the job. There's lots of little things there. And then I'm surrounded, living in this beautiful space with Valchromat. Didn't really obviously know what it was, learned to love it through that job. But what kicks in from a designer's point of view once you've got the material is your job from a sustainability point of view then is to make something that lasts, and that's your job. There's no point in, banging something out just to kind of fulfill a project, or so you're working with the best material. You're working with you're designing something to last for a long time, and that's sustainability in the design world. That's what we're all thriving towards. On the wall behind me, there's the Vitzu 606 shelving system, which was designed in the 60s by Dieter Rams, and I think I see things like that as just iconic design, and the best kind of design because it's designed to last. It's modular. My son will probably inherit these from me, and he'll use them. And it gets passed down through generations. So yeah, we're a relatively young company in terms like that, but we can't. I think that's always in the back of our mind that we've got this beautiful material. We want to think about the longevity and sometimes the afterlife of that material as well. It's interesting when you do a project and say like a gallery moves around or has a reshuffle. You've got the units you build kind of get repurposed. So it's kind of nice that they have you have to think about things like that when designing it, or how you make them so they can. It's the modular thing again. We often make things modular. So people can have, use it in the future life. So yeah, from a sustainability point of view, that's our focus really, just making good design that lasts.
Great. And we would still like to hear from both of you. What is the importance of promoting initiatives that combine sustainability, design, and social impact? And what changes can we expect, or you think that can we expect for the future, to see in the future?
I've got a great example of that, if you don't mind. So, following, we've got a theme that's been running through this, which is as soon as people approach us and they discuss a product or a situation with us, one of the very, very first things they talk about is the sustainability or the environmental compliance of this product. And without a doubt, the demand for sustainable materials, if you like, will continue to rise. I think sure. People are finally realizing that it's part of the solution to the carbon issue. It can't be debated. Timber helps the carbon issue in whatever level. And I think certainly landmark projects like in London, the Black and White building, which is London's first multi-story commercial building to be built since the Great Fire of 1666 out of timber. It's such a landmark building. Interestingly, and pure fluke, but it's on the footprint of the first ever James Latham warehouse. But that's an aside, although it's a great story. And the fact that we supplied material into there. In fact, we supplied Viroc into there, which is another investment product.
You know it very well, the product.
And I think the fact that building got so much press, I mean, it's absolutely monumental. It's so tall, and you go in there, and it's just timber everywhere. And I think it's almost broken the seal. So it's made people realize that it can be done. Sometimes, it's great to talk about things, but until a significant player makes a significant move and does something, people are always a little skeptical. Now we're starting to see that, more and more people are going, okay, that's already been done. Now what else can we do? And certainly, the confidence in timber is growing. The confidence in engineered timber is growing, whether that's a wood fiber board like Valchromat, or whether that's laminated timber products like our own WoodX, which is a really unique product and a fantastic product. And certainly there was a lot of cross laminated timber in that Black and White building. I just think products like this are getting proven. Once upon a time they were seen as quite novel and quite avant-garde, but now they're, I won't say becoming the norm, but they're becoming more and more accepted and more relied upon. And I think, that's probably, you mentioned earlier about what can we expect to see in the future. I think there will be more and more engineered products come into the fore, engineered timber products come into the fore. And now people are more confident with them, are more comfortable with them. It's almost like they're starting to believe the hype. And once someone takes that leap of faith and does a big building with it, I think more and more will follow. So for me, yeah, I see growth in timber-based products. I see growth in engineered timber-based products, not just in finishing and in furniture, but actually in the structure of buildings now moving forward. Yeah, that's the big take for me. I love that focus on sustainability and people seeing timber as the solution or a solution to part of the carbon issue.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah, I see hopefully the future will be people on their phones less, using their phone home, and I just think people need to embrace color a bit more. I think that's my big plan. Just that idea of, I can't add to anything that Stu said about the future. Obviously, what products are coming on the market. You see a lot of interesting products coming, but I don't know how, things that are made from mushrooms or kelp or things like this. And there's lots of really cool materials being produced, but it's just whether that material can grow big enough for just someone like James Latham to kind of stock it, and and I think that's where Valchromat has got to, and that's why we feel so lucky to use it. So yeah, much more Valchromat, I think, for us in the future, and much more colour in the world, I think.
Great, very good.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much, Matt. Thank you very much, Stuart. So today we've seen how design and sustainable material can have a real impact on how we live. A simple mobile phone stand can be more than just a functional object. It can be a symbol of changes and balance.
Yeah, of course. And well, before we wrap up, we'd love to hear a final thought from each of our guests. So what messages do you like to share about the future of design and sustainability and for the society?
Okay, so great design doesn't stop. We've been doing design for millennia, generally for a purpose. Design is not a new thing. Maybe people talk about design as something from the last 200 or 300 years, but in actual fact, people have been designing things since the wheel. I guess my hope is people will start to give as much thought to materials. I mean, Matt mentioned some of these emerging technologies, whether it's mushrooms or whether it's fiber or whatever it is, that people will give as much thought to materials they use and the impact they have on the planet as much as they do about aesthetics and usability when they start to design. So I guess that's my take. Let's carry on designing, but let's make sure we use the right materials to design with.
Yeah, I think you absolutely hit the nail on the head there. I think it is that. I think people are much more aware of the situation the planet's in and trying to do their bit. And I think, designers of this generation, I imagine if we could, go into a first year design class now, I think they would just be talking about it. I was at Manchester Met University the other day, and they had a material library, and I was very pleased to see Valchromat was there as a flagship material to be using. So, these students are aware of these materials, are pushing the lecturers and the approach is to be using more sustainable materials. So more of that, please. And I think and that's why companies like James Latham are so critical for that kind of conversation, especially in the UK, and getting the products to the students or exposing them to young makers. Because like I say, I kind of came across it by chance, really. I was aware, my eyes were open enough to see the beauty of the material, to understand the material, to use the material. But I think people it's just that education.
I think that's interesting. You said that, Matt. I mean, you mentioned that the college there. We work with Rycote Furniture School,
right? Yeah.
And we provide them with material, and Valchromat is one of the most used products there, just because again, they've in their early stages they've seen solid timber. They have furniture's made out of solid timber.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you introduce something like Valchromat and Hymax being another one, but then they have to embrace color. and then they see that, hang on, this isn't a piece of, that phrase. It's not just MDF. It's absolutely not. You know, this is a through coloured, organically dyed fiberboard. Correct. It's the language that people talk now, and just seeing these students embracing that, and again coming out with the most remarkable designs. Yeah, the future's bright. I think we need to keep them aligned, but they'll soon overtake us, and they'll be telling us what the right thing to do is.
That's it.
So this brings us to another end of ArchTalks. It was an inspiring conversation. It was very nice to speak to you both. So thank you very much, Matt and Stuart, for sharing your experience, insights, and of course, a huge thank to all of our listeners. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Stuart and Matt. And if you are curious to learn more about Valchromat and the amazing work of Plaey, we invite you to visit our websites, their websites, and the social medias, where you can explore innovative projects and see how design can impact the society. Stay tuned for more ArchTalks episodes, where we will continue exploring conversations on innovation, sustainability, and creativity. Thank you.
Thank you for joining, and see you on the next episode.
Thank you. Bye-bye.